Hi, my name's Erica Glessing. You're joining me here as I talk about stepping into forgiveness, and I'm really passionate about this. I feel like there's one thing we can do even when we're standing in line at the grocery store, and we can forgive something or someone, and this will open up avenues of energy in our own lives, and it actually also gives someone else's energy back to them. So it not only nourishes us by freeing up space for us to do more, it also returns whatever chi of someone else that you're holding inside, it returns it to them. So it's this kind of fantastic process that I like to say can change your life in an instant. It has that capacity to initiate healing in you. And how wonderful is that? That you could just heal from something, that you could just, in this shift into forgiveness, and some of you just even listening to this might make the shift. That might be all you needed, was someone to remind you of the power of letting go of that crap that you've just held on to. I'm going to just tell, I don't know, it's kind of funny in this morbid way that I have, because I used to be a news reporter and I sometimes laugh at the wrong things. But I remember I was really upset at this one editor, and I won't say his name, it was in Santa Barbara, and he just could rip apart anything. I was too positive. I wrote too many good stories. Couldn't I find any dirt? I'd do this really beautiful story about a principal and how they'd changed a school, and he'd hand me a 500-pound budget document and say, can't you find something bad in this? And we pretty much just were, we didn't get along. So I kind of held on to some of that grudging, and it was like maybe 20 years later, and I was talking to one of my friends who I used to work with in Santa Barbara, and I was writing a column for her at another newspaper, and it turns out he had died and he had passed on. And what good was all that stuff I had? It was like, how did that help anybody? And he'd actually shifted. He'd moved to a different place. His body was done. And at that instant, I just even got deeper into forgiveness, and I really stepped into it being a practice that I wanted to teach. And so I started teaching people how to forgive. I've built a 6-week course, and every week takes you through steps of learning how to forgive as a daily practice, learning how to forgive something that someone's done to you in your career space, learning how to forgive someone that hurt you when you were a child. We've all maybe had teachers that, really said we were terrible at something, and that stuck in our head, and it was a lie that we believed. And so I want to ask you right now, what lie did you believe? What lie? And are you ready to let go of that lie? What's a lie that stuck in your head? You weren't good at something. Anything that's not part of you feeling your own perfection was a lie, by the way. So any part of shutting down, feeling bad, constricting, that was a lie. I just want to tell you right now, you were lied to a lot if you're like most people on the planet. And so what I do is I teach this practice of stepping out of that and letting go and stop believing the lies that most of us were told for, pretty much most of our lives. And some of you haven't seen all of the videos, and so I'm going to address something that comes up every time I teach forgiveness. And that is, how can I forgive my mom? And you can say, or my dad. How can I forgive my mom? And not all of you have issues with parents, and so just, make up someone else that has maybe done something where they didn't see the light in you at all, where they didn't get you at all, and so they treated you in a way that wasn't honoring of that beauty that is inside of each of us, and including you. And so just kind of for a moment, pull away from your present. Step out of this immediate reality we all have right now. Step out of that, shift out of that, and kind of look over your life. And just kind of let go of any need to understand why anything happened. That can mess us up big time. They must have done that for a reason, or I must have done something wrong to cause that behavior to happen. So often it's just not at all about you. It's some story they played out in their head, and you were the unwitting pawn. And 9 times out of 10, the forgiveness that needs to happen the most is in a family relationship. And of course that's the hardest thing, because if you forgive one, well, the other one's, not understand that you could condone that behavior. So I'm just going to ask you today to forgive one thing that's actually pretty big. I'm going to ask you right now just to allow yourself to free yourself and accept the learning from that, be it as hard as possible. I don't care if it was just the worst things in the world you can imagine. I have a beautiful client, and when we looked at her life, we did a whole scan of her life, and it was really 18 years, I'm just saying, of hell. I mean, more or less. Every part of her life was just this puppet. She'd been dragged around by people and mistreated and left in different states, and it was amazing to me that she had come through with the spirit she had. And so in this moment right now, step into your resilient you. And that's what this video is all about, is just really understanding that resilience you have. And we're going to be working on this for about 6 weeks. Registration opens after the next video. I'm going to go through what the class is at the next video. I know some of you really want to know that, and I'm going to walk through how we do some of this work. And in the meantime, just see if you can just be a little bit kinder to yourself. Just kind of give yourself a break. Thanks so much.